Teacher Prix, I can't remember verb conjugations, the verb tenses. Why? And more importantly, how can I remember verb conjugations, verb tenses in English? Well, stay with me because that's the lesson I'm going to give you today. Hey there, I'm Teacher Prix, and I'm going to help you talk to anyone, anywhere, anytime in English. Thank you so much for watching this lesson. It means a lot to me. Make sure to subscribe to my channel because every week I am here posting different kinds of English lessons to help you become a better and more confident English speaker. So consider subscribing or hitting the like button if you have already subscribed. Now, guys, let's talk about why you can't remember verb conjugations and how to change that. That is the focus of this lesson. And here on my channel, I help specific students. I help pre-intermediate and intermediate students to go from stuck to speaking in 6 months. And this is the transition level, pre-intermediate, intermediate level. It is complicated, I get it. And guys, at this moment, keep in mind that verb tenses will continue to be part of your journey to fluency. You will still need to study verb tenses, review verb tenses. What I hear the most from students at this level is, "But I know simple present. I already study it." Well, Priscilla, I know simple past, but I study simple past every month. Why? Because it is part of your journey for the rest of your journey, I'm afraid. But it's a good thing. It's how you exercise your memory. And if you keep forgetting past conjugations, present continuous, the perfect tenses, it means we need to take a look at your practice. But there is more for that. We're going to be talking more about that. So one thing I need to make very clear is it is natural to make more mistakes at this level. And here you will make more mistakes. You will forget more conjugations because your conversations will get more complicated. Yes. Think about it. When you were a beginner, you just talked about your weekend. You talked about simple things. Now, the conversations will change. With my babies, my students from my academy, last week we had group conversation class. We have every month. And what did we talk about? Artificial intelligence. AI, ChatGPT. That's what we talked about. It's much more complex than simply talking about your last weekend or what did you do yesterday or what your routine is like. These are important things too. But at this level, you will challenge your conversation subjects. And as a result, you will need to think fast. And your reaction time, something that I often talk to my BSAs from my academy, my students, is you need to work on reaction time. But it's natural that you will miss something, that you will forget a verb conjugation or a preposition. That's why your practice is key. And we will focus on that today. As I said, my BSA have different activities to work on verb conjugations. They have the grammar lessons. They have to create examples to me with what they study. Not to mention grammar workshops. Last week, we also had a grammar workshop. My babies were very busy last week because we had group conversation class on Tuesday. And then on Thursday, we had a grammar workshop. So I am always trying to find new ways to study and review important grammar, tenses, and conjugations, and that's how they exercise their memory, so that the next time they speak, they get a little better and a little better until they're awesome, but always improving, always working on their communication skills. Now, guys, why can't you remember verb conjugations, verb tenses, okay? You're not getting enough intentional practice. The main point is this. There will be another point, but the main point why, the main explanation, the main reason why you forget verb tenses is your practice is not intentional. And what is intentional practice? Intentional practice means that you will assess your weaknesses and then you will work on them through grammar, writing, and speaking. That's how you will work on verb tenses that you constantly forget. So, but teacher, my speaking is a problem. Well, the problem is always the solution. This is something I learned from a teacher, not an English teacher, but a guy that I study from. He's always teaching me, helping me to improve my business. And he always says, Priscilla, problem is solution. Okay, the problem is the solution. So you need to improve your speaking. Your speaking is the problem. Well, the problem is the solution. So you will need, if you need to improve your verb tenses, the intentional practice will revolve around grammar, writing, and speaking. Oh, but Priscilla, how about reading? Reading too, you can include. But when I am struggling with verb tenses in any language, especially English and Italian, the ones that I study, my intentional practice revolves around grammar, writing, and speaking. Really, consistently, grammar, writing, and speaking, because that will help me improve my verb tense, conjugation, and remembering. Yesterday, yes, I was in the car and I was going to a party and I decided to practice my Italian, thinking in Italian. And then I realized, oh my God, I don't know how to say this in Italian. Not because I don't know a word. I knew the word, but I didn't know the conjugation. So you see, it's completely natural. So this week, this will be my intentional practice because I was working on thinking in Italian and I realized I don't know how to make this phrase because I don't know the conjugation. I don't know the verb conjugation, so I can't do it. I don't know how. So I assessed my weakness and now I will work on it this week. That's what I'm going to be doing. So your intentional practice will revolve around that. You will need to assess. This is the reason why students can't remember verb conjugations. And let's say present perfect, which is something that really scares students. They're like, oh my God, present perfect. One example, studying present perfect once will not be enough if you forget its conjugations and structure. Here I'm talking about conjugations, but oftentimes the students have problems creating phrases. They don't even remember how to put words together in a more complicated tense like present perfect or present perfect continuous or future perfect continuous or past perfect continuous. So sometimes it's not just the verb conjugation, but the structure itself. Okay, that's why it's important to review grammar, the intentional practice combo, the trio, grammar, writing, and speaking. So the second reason is, okay, so the first reason, your intentional practice sucks, okay? You don't have one, a good intentional practice. But the second one, which is natural, is when it's time to speak, you don't have time. Okay, you don't have time. Right now I'm speaking. I don't have time to process a lot of information. It is natural that I will make a few mistakes, or maybe I will skip a preposition, or maybe my pronunciation will not be perfect. There is always going to be something because I need to react fast. I'm here, I'm giving a lesson. I'm not going to pause and think. Sometimes people will ask, oh, did you pause to make this video? No, this is it. Right now, I'm not pausing or waiting or thinking. So it is natural that you may get confused and forget a few things and forget some information. It'll happen. But that's why we go back to the intentional practice. Because you have to think quickly when it's time to speak, you will forget verb conjugations. We go back to the intentional practice. So, okay, I understand it is part of us to forget some information, to forget some verb conjugations. But if this is happening quite a lot, that means your practice. You need to go back to practice. And here we have a combination of practice and memorization. You don't have bad memory. If people keep telling you that, or if you're telling yourself that, watch out. This is neuro-linguistic programming. If you keep programming your mind to believe, oh, my memory sucks, you will be affirming that about yourself. So it's not that your memory sucks, it's your process that sucks. So you need to change the process. And we will focus on that now. So the first tip, we go back to assessment. These three tenses are the foundation of communication, okay? The basic tenses, past, present, and future, okay? Past, present, future. The simple present, the simple past, the simple future. At a pre-intermediate level or intermediate level, this needs to be like done deal. I'm good, okay? As teachers, that's what we aim at. That's what we want. But we know that students struggle even with the simple present tenses, especially when we're talking about he, she, it, the conjugations that change in the present. It happens. So you need to continuously study these basic tenses because they are the foundation of conversation. When you learn a little more, when you get a little bit more advanced, you see that I can't use will to talk about future all the time. We can't. We can use present continuous to talk about future in some situations. And in some situations, I can even use present to talk about future. But you one step at a time, one step at a time. So you need to master these guys, okay? So we need to assess how well you do in each tense, how well you do in each tense. See, it's live. I'm not pausing. I made a mistake. I get back on my feet and say, excuse me, I'm sorry. The show must go on, okay? So have that positive attitude when, you get stuck, when your tongue doesn't go where it's supposed to go. You apologize, you smile and say, okay, let's get this over with. I'm going to do it again. So you need to, there's a word missing. It's how well you do in each tense, okay? So assessment is important. Oftentimes I get phone calls, I get messages, I get emails from people who want to have classes with me. I don't give private lessons anymore. But the first recommendation I give them, okay, you need an assessment. You need to understand what's going on, okay? How well are you doing in your writing, in your speaking, in your tenses? So this is important, very, very important, okay? So to do that, how are we going to assess? I'm going to give you some recommendations to help you assess your tenses, your verb tenses, okay? And remember, you're at a pre-intermediate level, at an intermediate level. You can't just talk about your last weekend to think, okay, but my simple past is good. I talked about my last weekend. Yeah, we need a little bit more than that. That's not really, you've been doing that for a while. A basic student will do this. When I was a private teacher, my students who were with me who knew nothing, in 1 month they could talk about their last weekend and they knew the verb conjugations. Why? Because it's a basic question and there's nothing wrong with that. But here I'm talking about pre-intermediate and intermediate students. So I wanted to record yourself, not reading my last, no. You're going to record yourself speaking, just like right now I'm not reading. I'm talking to you. That's the exercise, that's the assessment. You're going to describe your life today and the things that matter to you and why. There is a you missing, okay? There's the word you, matter to you. So I want you to describe your life today, simple present, your life today and the things that matter to you and why. So when I say your life today, I'm not asking about my routine. I'm asking you to analyze your life. It's much more complicated than that. You need to think, okay, where am I with my life? It's almost a philosophical question. Where do you stand in your life today? Analyze that and answer in the present. What are the things that matter to you the most and why? Okay, maybe to you what matters the most is your family. Well, talk about that. Maybe it's not your family right now. Maybe it's your PhD. Maybe it's your master's. Maybe it's your career. Maybe it's your dream of traveling around the world. What matters to you today? And explain why. Second exercise, you're going to describe a friend in the present and everything he, she, or he or she does. Personality, work, crazy things about this friend. In detail, but in the present. Okay? In the present. 3, you're going to describe something you saw in the news in the past. Describing details, maybe something you watched on the news that happened yesterday or last week, but challenge yourself, okay? If you don't remember anything, maybe you didn't watch the news, maybe you don't watch the news. So I recommend you to make an exception, watch something on the news, and then describe it the best way you can, but in the past, okay? That's very important. 4, talk about someone from your past and how important this person was to you. See, you will need to think about someone in your life in the past and how important that person was to you. That's the exercise. And 5, describe your future plans. So here you're going to make an assessment of your present, past, and future. That should be a big challenge, okay? And I know it'll be a little difficult, but that's the idea of the exercise, so that you analyze what's more difficult to you, past, present, or future. Which one do you react more slowly when you're speaking? Oh, and then the past. Which one you pause more? That's the idea of this exercise. Number 2, organize your tense practice into categories, okay? So here we have, basically, guys, we have basic tenses, past, present, future. Simple past, simple present, simple future. Then we have the continuous tenses, okay? Future continuous, past continuous, present continuous. Then we have the perfect tenses, present perfect, past perfect, future perfect. Then we have the present continuous tenses, present perfect continuous, past perfect continuous, future perfect continuous. Which one is more difficult to you? Honestly, I would stick to, I believe the basic tenses are really challenging, and the perfect tenses. Present perfect tenses, perfect continuous tenses, they are important, but at this level, focus on the more basic ones, because if you can do perfect tenses, continuous tenses, and basic tenses, well, you can talk to anyone, anywhere, anytime. Like, seriously, okay? So analyze and divide. Okay, this week I'm gonna do my intentional practice focusing on perfect tenses. Next week I'm gonna go back to the basic tenses. Then on another week I'm gonna focus on continuous tenses. Past, present, future, okay? Always past, present, future. And that's a very important step, okay? So when I say organize, I really mean it. Okay, this week I'm gonna review and study the continuous tenses. Next week I'm gonna review and study the basic tenses. In 2 weeks I'm gonna study the perfect tenses, and then finally I will start to tackle the perfect continuous tenses. Finished, go back again. Okay, new round. Basic tenses, continuous tenses, and you always renew the rounds, okay? That's a continuous practice. It's very important. Moving on. Guys, make sure to hit the like button. Yes, it helps the channel when you hit the like button. And when you become part of this family, yeah, subscribe. And if you're interested, if you need help organizing your study routine, I recommend you get my study plan cycle, because you will know how to study efficiently and using the internet in your favor. So check it out. I'm sure you're going to like it. But let's go. Tip number 3, intentional practice. Your intentional practice will consist of grammar, writing, and speaking. You will need to define the frequency. And I suggest you do this weekly, especially if you have problems with past and present, or organizing the phrase, organizing the structure. This is something that I correct all the time in my academy with my babies. I'm reviewing and I'm teaching and helping them review grammar tenses. And oftentimes the problem is, it's not that they forget the verb conjugation, but they have problems with the structure of tenses. So it's important to study and review. So I recommend at least once a week you have some kind of grammar practice, and include writing and speaking in the mix. That's gold. That's what you should be doing. That's what I teach my babies to do in the academy. And I'm always there checking, making sure they do the work. Now, in your intentional practice, here are some ideas of things you can do that will help your memorization skills, so that you memorize, so that you remember tenses, okay? So a journal, writing daily or weekly. I, Priscilla, write every day. A little, but I do. I also have days when I write more. Every 10 or 15 days, I write something longer, like 2 pages, a long essay. But every day I write a little, okay? So you define this frequency, but this would be an amazing practice to help you memorize, okay? To help you memorize verb tenses. Researching common sentences in each verb tense you are studying that are specific. You can use any tense to create any phrase you want, but there are some common key phrases that you can Google. in some tenses, present perfect continuous. So it's interesting to Google, to research some common phrases in specific tenses that will help you with your practice. Next, watch video lessons to review grammar explanations. Every week you should include a grammar lesson, a video teaching grammar. Here I'm giving a grammar tip, but every week I post a grammar lesson. So I recommend you watch a grammar lesson teaching, reviewing key points from different grammar lessons. So this is something you should include. With my babies, in every module they have a grammar lesson. And whether it's new or review, they need to study. It's part of the routine inside the academy. Tell a story or write, okay? You can tell by practicing your speaking, or you can write, or do both. But how are you going to do this? Teacher, I'm not creative. I don't have the imagination to write. I can't do this. Okay, fine, don't worry. So I want you to pick classic stories from Disney, from literature, and then you will use your imagination to tell a story, a popular story. So let's say today you can practice telling, orally, speaking about the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Okay, so you can tell that story, the Snow White story. Okay, or maybe you can tell a story, let's see, okay, the Matrix, the movie. What's the story in the Matrix? And then you can practice. So you can pick a popular story. And here you can focus. This is easier to do in the present and past, okay? This part of the story, you will focus a lot on past and present. So you decide, okay, I'm going to tell this story in the present. And you focus on the present. Okay, I'm going to tell all this story in the past. And you tell the story in the past. So pick popular stories and retell them by using your own words. This is an amazing exercise for you to do orally and by writing. And finally, create visual aids. After creating your examples, this is something that I do with my students. They watch a lesson in the academy, a grammar lesson, and then their exercise is to post examples to me by connecting the examples with their lives. Okay, so you watched the grammar lesson and you created some examples. So what I recommend you do is, I want you to do something visual, okay? You can grab a piece of paper and you can write the tenses, the phrases with verbs you tend to forget. So write some phrases, type and print. You decide, okay? Use different colors like I used here, and then you're gonna post somewhere you can see often. Okay, maybe on the door of your fridge, post some verb tenses, some phrases to help you remember. Maybe in your bedroom, post them where you can see them, where you can often see them. This would be an interesting exercise for you to do. Teacher, how about my phone? I don't like that idea. Because your phone, you use Instagram, you use chat or your email or to talk to people, call people, but it should be a place where you just have to look. You don't have to open anything, okay? Because here in the phone, it'll require you to make the effort to open the app and then try to find the card and open the card. No, I want something that it's already there. Okay, my closet. I have a closet here. Let's say there's a closet here. Put some Post-its. You can see. You will have one job, and then after that, you can easily see. That is amazing for visual learners. It'll be and kinesthetic as well, okay? Guys, I hope you enjoyed this lesson. As I said, check out my study plan cycle. I'm sure it'll be very helpful to you. But other than that, you can help me a lot by sharing this lesson with a friend. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.